Hello and welcome to this episode of the Poverty Franchise Podcast, NFL Roundup Divisional Round. It's been another fun weekend in the NFL playoffs. Right now I'm watching Bayern Munich versus FC Köln. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. On another note, might be a short. Bayern Munich looks like kind of a two-pack of ass. That's just me. Sidetracked. NFL playoffs, right? So the games were good for the exception of really the Giants-Eagles game. That was a wash. The Eagles one was dominated through and through. The Giants had a great year, lots to build off of. Um, Lots of questions. How much is Saquon worth repaying? Should they let Saquon go and go get someone in the draft like Bijan if he falls far enough back? Or do you re-sign Saquon? Do you get some more receivers? Do you get a legit tight end? Do you fix some problems in your secondary on the defensive side and make another run at it with Daniel Jones? I think if you're looking at it, there's not really many better options on the QB market. You could sign Geno Smith and hope it wasn't more of a system thing and he keeps going. You could try to bring in Derek Carr maybe. There's talks of Aaron Rodgers being thrown in trade rumors right now. You could probably, I don't know if like Baker Mayfield is someone just even an upgrade, it's probably a downgrade, or you just keep Daniel Jones. A lot of questions. Chiefs win a close one against the Jags. Trevor Lawrence had another decent game. Patrick Mahomes, I want to say that, got hurt. He's going to play next week. He has that sprained ankle. It's going to be a tough one against the Bengals next week. Even at Arrowhead, him being hurt, the Bengals have the Chiefs' number. So we're going to see that suspect defense be put to the test. Speaking of the Bengals, they beat up on the Bills at home in a matchup I didn't think was actually going to be a 17-point win. I really had it going to the Bills, but they folded once again in the playoffs. A typical Bills delicacy, so to speak, behavior. Again, Rich coming from a Bears fan. We don't even get a chance to fold in the playoffs. But Bengals win. Again, all the usual suspects had great games. And they set up a very good matchup for next week. Joe Burrow, 2 touchdowns, 23 of 36, 242. Joe Mixon had 105 on the ground. Jamar Chase, 61 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 catches. Hayden Hurst had 5 catches and a TD. Josh Allen did not have the greatest games. 25 of 42, 265, and a pick. The Bills, as the story goes all year, and sound like an old head saying, I'll harp on it all year, they could not get the run game going. Singletary and Cook. Singletary's probably gone next year or the year after, whenever his contract's up, or is going to be probably traded for like a 5th or 6th round pick to a running back needy team. Because James Cook is going to be cheaper, and he's probably a better back than Devin Singletary. But they couldn't get going on the ground, because this is about the 3rd year in a row where their best rusher was Josh Allen. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you should probably have a running back that averages more yards than your quarterback, especially if your quarterback can run but is more known as a down-the-field passer. And this is one of Devin Singletary's better years. He had 819 yards on the ground. He averaged 4.6 yards a carry. He had 5 touchdowns, added 280 yards and 1 touchdown through the air. But I just think he's not a feature back. He's more of a third down back, a not pass blocking back because he's only 5'7". So he's more of a gadget back who you can use in the passing game, you can use in third down situations, a change of pace back, but he's not an every down back. I think they really need an every down back. James Cook had 507 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, but most importantly, 5.7 yards a carry. 180 yards, another through the air. I think James Cook has the potential to be a feature back. But they lost the game. They'll have all offseason to think about it. And most importantly, the Cowboys lost. America is happy because the fucking Cowboys lost. This sets up a beautiful matchup between the Eagles and Niners at the Link. Will Brock Purdy have a bad football game? Will it happen? Again, he's facing tougher and tougher competition, but he didn't throw an interception. 19 of 29, 214 yards. McCaffrey's still banged up. Mitchell's still banged up, but George Kittle had the game. He had that catch. He had a great game. We're not going to talk about the final play. I think the problem with the Cowboys, it's not their defense this time. I think it starts and ends with Dak Prescott. And now you're going into the offseason with Ezekiel Elliott, who's looking more and more cooked every week, it feels like. I mean, this has been a year to forget. Worst year on record so far. He averaged less than 4 yards a carry, only 876 yards. He did have 12 rushing touchdowns, but that 3.8 yards a carry and only 92 receiving yards is not a good look. And Tony Pollard picks up a major injury last game of the year. He's probably going to be ready in training camp. He averaged 5.2 yards a carry, 1,007 yards, then added 371 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. I mean, you have all that money tied up in him. Dak Prescott has probably plateaued as a quarterback, and he's no bad quarterback. He's no elite quarterback either. However, there's no one better to really replace him. You're not going to use, again, like Derek Carr, Geno Smith, or even Aaron Rodgers at his age. Tom Brady's floating around, in the ether. Really, the only person who's better is Lamar Jackson. They don't have the money to do it. Now, that's a route the Giants can go, is Lamar Jackson. I should mention that Lamar Jackson is a free agent, even though Harbaugh has reiterated that he is staying there. Now, to look at the next week's games. Next week's games are going to be the Jaguars. I was looking at last week's games. Haha, dummy. They will be the Chiefs and the Bengals. And then on the other end, the Eagles versus the Niners. I think the Bengals will pull it off. I think Patrick Mahomes being hurt is going to limit the offense a little too much. And I think their defense is finally going to get caught up. And the Bengals defense can, with that injury, is the biggest blessing that they could have asked for. Now I think the Chiefs are going to have an easier time establishing the run with Isaiah Pacheco back there and Jerick McKinnon changing the pace a bit. But I think the Bengals are going to pull that one out and go to the Super Bowl. And they'll get another shot at it. And this time they're going to have a defense and an offensive line. So they had the defense last year, mainly the offensive line. And on the other end, I think the Niners are just a better football team. I think they're better coached. They did have the guy, I think the interior lineman, his name eludes me at the moment. He got arrested for the old domestic violence. We're going to look that up together. Yeah, Charles wow, I can't pronounce that name. Omenihu got arrested. Not a good look for them. Not a good distraction to have going into the playoffs. But I think they'll figure it out. I think they will. Jalen Hurts is still a little banged up. And I think Nick Sirianni is not as good of a coach as Kyle Shanahan. They have the raw talent to beat them. Again, they truly do. Like, don't get me wrong. The Philadelphia Eagles are a great football team. I just think it's the Niners' year. I don't know why. I just feel that way. And before I probably move on and kind of talk about the future content that'll be coming-ish, because that's kind of it. I just want to speak on the Jaguars. A hell of a season on their end. They started out looking like kind of ass, looking like they were in full rebuild. They finished the year 9-8 and winning a playoff game. Really, they just got to fix some things on the defensive side of the ball, shore up that offensive line, maybe add a third wide receiver, get a good slot guy in. Because, I mean, your receiving core of Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones Jr. and Evan Ingram is good, but I still think you always can have one more guy come in. Shore up that line. Shore up the defensive secondary. And maybe get a solid second running back, just to alleviate the pain on Travis Etienne, because James Robinson's gone. Jamal Agnew is the receiver. Oh my God, I'm getting mixed up. Jermichael Hasty is not the player we should be, or Snoop Connor is not who you should be trusting that with. So congratulations to the Jaguars, and that kind of shores up the roundup. Just talk about a little bit of the future, I guess. I will not be doing a draft video until after the combine. I'd rather let stuff settle in at that point, like after the combine, after the Senior Bowl, after a lot of shit happens in between, after the pro days. I want to see all that happen before I do a little, and I'll probably have to do it. It's probably gonna be like an hour-long video, because I'm just gonna fucking ramble on and on, forget shit, do shit, because I don't really write. I'll have some notes, but I'm gonna go off topic a lot, and I only know what I know, so it's not gonna be the most detailed thing. I'm no Mel Kiper, I'm no Rappaport, anything like that. I will be doing an NBA video now that the trade deadline's heating up. It's kind of a state of the league, halfway point, maybe at the All-Star break, just to see how everyone's doing. And I might return, once the NFL season's over, I'm going to return to the weekly just sports roundup, where I just talk about basketball, soccer, stories that have happened in the media that week, just not about the NFL. I'll return more to that. Again, more rambly, longer, but again, the NFL wrapping up, it lets me go do that. But it's been PJ signing off on the Poverty Franchise Podcast.